Another day was passing. I was sleeping it away. Things were going just fine around the home. Outside things were a bit of a mess, but I'd get to that eventually. I was still a bit upset about that girl claiming to be my sister who died. Right when I woke up, a transport pod had come crashing down. A fella named Sissy. Didn't seem too hostile to me. Certainly not a pretty fella by any means. Seemed to be sick with some kind of disease, having a real hard time of it. There wasn't much I could do for that man. Not yet anyway. I downsized my crop area. Replanted my hops. Got to making some smoke leaf joints. Occasionally stopping to smoke one. It was going to be an overwhelming job because there was a whole lot of smoke leaf built up. I wasn't sure I'd get through it all. Lisa gave birth to 2 puppies around that time. Just what I needed was 2 more mouths to feed. The way things go around here, though, they may not last very long. I guess I was going to need some more beds if I was going to have some more puppies. So I made a plan for that while making a smoke leaf joint, and then I was off to bed. I woke up 1 in the afternoon again, did a bunch of cleaning. Still wasn't moving too fast due to these muscle parasites, but I was getting by. Some raw food was on the agenda since I'd neglected to make anything real for a while. And at that point I decided to make those extra dog beds, give those critters somewhere to sleep so they wouldn't be bothering me. I did a good job at those, and then I went back to making smoke leaf for a while, get some joints cranked out. Still seemed like I wasn't going to make it through all that. About that time Hamlet came down with the plague. I decided I better get on top of that right away. I also needed tending, turns out. The muscle parasites are getting the better part of me here. Tended myself, I tended Hamlet reasonably well, not great, and then I was back to bed. And when I woke up, it was cleaning time once again. Things sure do get messy. Ate myself some oranges, which was pretty delicious. Decided to smoke a joint. And then it was time to feed Hamlet. The dogs were almost out of kibble once again. And about that time, a bunch of pirates showed up with the intention of doing me some harm. I decided Hamlet was more important, and most likely the base would defend itself around here. This outer wall, these traps, pretty solid. They were milling around. I rushed on out to see if I could lure them in. I shot one up, and then she went down on my trap, which is just fine. The second one got shot a few times, decided to back on up and take some shots at me. Another one died on my trap. Then they all took off running. So I ran on out to see if I could bring any more of them down. Mostly because if I could take them all out, these jerks may not come back. I was not moving fast, that is for certain. I decided to give up, considering I'd never catch up with them at this rate. Those dead people left a bunch of weapons laying around. More bodies I was going to have to deal with. Maybe the dogs would eat them before I had to get over there, but I didn't think that likely. I had enough graves for them, but at some point I was going to need more for sure. When I got back inside, one of my heaters was broke down. Things were a bit cold, so I fixed that. Got off the bed. While sleeping, a bear had attacked a llama, alpaca, whatever the heck they are. That's the fury of nature. About that time I woke up, had myself some pemmican. Decided building these traps back was going to be priority, as well as getting these bodies put away. Didn't need the rot stink of them bringing down my mood any more than it already was. I had a bit of steel stockpiled, so that was good. At least enough to get these traps rebuilt. After the final trap was built, I got to hauling bodies, putting them in the ground. The last 2 graves were about to be used up. Hamlet was hungry at that point. Still couldn't get up. I was in a pretty bad mood myself. I decided to go to bed. I got up, ate myself some food. Simple fare, seemed to be best for me. I was still in pretty bad pain. These muscle parasites weren't taking it easy on me, that's for sure. Decided to repair all my walls that had been shot up and get that last person put in the ground. I also planned a bunch of extra graves. Certainly wouldn't hurt to have them ready, the way things seem to go around here. I had all kinds of critters running around yet. That's just fine with me. Decided to make some more joints when I really should be making kibble for all these animals. I didn't get too far before I was back to bed once again. I woke up, it was 3 a.m. Needed some tendon. The stupid muscle parasites will not relent. And I had a little pemmican. Got back to making joints. Once again stopping to smoke one when I felt like it. All this work and no play kind of wears a man out. Certainly brings down the mood. I rolled a big fat Bob Marley joint. Was puffing on that for a while. And it wasn't long before I needed to get back to bed. When I woke up, it was about 7 p.m. Some pemmican was in order. I sure was hungry. The muscle parasites were still in full force. Did not seem to be abating at all. Hamlet needed some attention, but there was no way I could catch him once again. So I decided to work on my alpaca. I tamed it a bit more than it already was. Then I decided I better get off to bed, being that it was midnight. My mood wasn't the best, my health wasn't either. When I woke up, it was only 4 a.m. I decided to put on a flak vest. I'd taken off one of those people. I was feeling alright about that. It's time to get back to something else other than making joints. Broke apart some rock, made some nice usable blocks out of it. Hamlet was up and about. I worked on him a bit. Taught him how to haul again. Poor guy's forgetful, given that he had the plague for a spell there. Some of the other dogs were starving to death. Required some attention. I fed some potatoes to one of them. Decided I better get back to the job of making them kibble. They were going down everywhere, and once again it was my fault. Turns out there's too much to keep up with around here. Right after rescuing that last dog, cargo pods fell out of the sky. A bunch of meals, lo and behold. Maybe I could feed those, these dang dogs. So, fed some potatoes to the other dog. Decided I better make that kibble before going to bed. Certainly didn't need any other animal starvations. And I was bound to get more. Had myself some pemmican after delivering that kibble, and then I was off to bed. One of them puppies stole Hamlet's bed, and then died of starvation, which I felt right bad for. And the other one was pretty starved as well. So I decided to feed it before dealing with his dead sibling. I was really making a mess out of all this. Wasn't sure I wanted to keep up with this. I'd planted corn instead of potatoes. That way I didn't have to work on it so much. My alpaca needed shearing by then. I got that handled. Then I was off to bed. Space chunk fell down out of the sky right as I laid down. I was gonna let it sit. People were contacting me about all kinds of miscellaneous stuff, but I didn't have the time to be getting out doing with stuff. I decided to put the smoke leaf away. Not worry about making all those joints. Didn't seem too important when I had legitimate work that needed doing around here. Unfortunately, there was plenty of kibble for the minute, and I had a bunch of animals stored up that had died on my trap. I could hear Call of the Wild, the animals attacking each other and dying as I was smoking a joint. After that, got the last rock chunk turned into block. I planned out a little guest room, somewhere I could nurse people back to health. Delivered some of the resources for that before going off to bed. When I woke up, it was cleaning time, eating time. Then I decided to start working on that guest room. Given the way people show up around here, needing assistance, and my conscience not doing me too much good, I should get that done sooner rather than later. Lolly fell out of the sky. She was a pirate, hostile as could be. Although she wasn't violent, I decided to let her lay anyway. That's the fate of the pirate. I don't want anything to do with that. For the minute. They're never gonna like me no matter what I did. I got the walls built, heater, cooler done from a little guest room. Then I decided I'd do some stargazing. It was nice. The wind was blowing, the grass was swaying, my hops were growing, all my pets are running around like crazy, kind of bugging the crap out of me in all honesty. Hamlet needed some attention once again, and I got him trained up. After that, I decided to do a little bit of research. I was working on sterile materials so I could make some kind of floors, help prevent myself from getting sick. And about that time, someone called me saying they were being chased. I sent them on their way. I don't have the time to deal with that, that's for certain. I had a meal, did some cleaning, went back to researching. It was nice to sit and relax and focus on something that was going to get me somewhere here. Then I decided I better finish that guest room too. I had a whole lot of jade left. I figured I'd make it as fancy as I could. So that's what I did. Still gonna need some furniture in there. But so far, it was looking pretty nice. I was short on chunks, but I decided that didn't matter after I mined for a spell. By then, I was tuckered out. It was 4 p.m. Time to hit the hay. When I woke up, about 11 p.m., I got back to cleaning, had a little food, and started working on that guest room. I planned a table, a bed, dresser, nightstand, even a chair. Whoever stayed here, they'd be comfortable. I could take care of them. Everything turned out right nice. And for that I was happy. I had a nice little spot to help people out, take care of visitors. I felt good as I was sitting down to research. It didn't last too long. And I had an alpaca die on one of my traps, and that was going to need to be rebuilt. But provided me a little bit of meat that I didn't have to hunt for, so that was okay. My freezer was full. I didn't have anywhere to put that alpaca. I was contemplating what to do about that while tossing some horseshoes. Exploding rats and huskies running around. Got to rebuilding the trap shortly after that. And I was back to research. A meteor fell out of the sky. Compacted plasteel by the looks of it. That'd be useful if I could ever get anywhere. It's nice strong metal. There's plenty of steel buildings around yet. I could rip those down if I needed more. Also, there was plenty of veins of steel just waiting. Well, I picked one nearby. Decided at some point, sooner rather than later, I'd better get to doing some mining on that. I wanted to get rid of all these wooden floors I had outside with some concrete, so they wouldn't burn up on me next time. And it wouldn't be that much work, it's just a matter of gathering the steel. I did some mining, dragged in what I could of the steel, and then I was off to bed. It was 6 p.m. I was feeling on a more normal schedule lately, till I woke up at 2, feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, which was weird. Back on Earth, I never was a night guy. I decided I'd better plant some herbal meds. The way the animals and myself get sick around here. So I mapped out a spot for that and got it all in the ground. I got nuzzled by one of them huskies. Much as I was trying not to get too attached to him, it was a cute little fella. Got back to some mining, dragged that stuff on inside. Meanwhile, that alpaca was rotten. I'd have to get to him at some point. I spent some time in my guest room. It was a nice place to hang out. Decided maybe I'd better do some research rather than mine anymore. As I sat there thinking in the dark, about that time a transport pod came crashing down. Pretty far away, a fella named Croc. And since I had the space for him, since he seemed like a decent person, I decided I'd get on out there and rescue him. See if I could nurse him back. While running out there, more chunks of spacecraft fell out of the sky. I picked up Croc, started hauling him back. He had a sweet mustache on him. My dogs were excited that we were out and about. They were running around chasing after me. I got Croc in the bed. Got him tended as well. Sadly, none of my medicine was ready, but I think he'd be alright without it. After that, I was off the bed. Another transport pod crashed. This time it was a hostile fella, though. I decided to let him lay, seeing as I ain't dealing with these hostile people too much. And the world's a harsh place. I could only do so much. I slept till about 7 a.m. My place sure was a mess as well. And once again, dogs are out of food. So I was going to have to do something about that. And I had plenty of critters around needing butchering, including that puppy that had died, sadly. So I got everything I had on hand, butchered up. Even finally got around to that alpaca that had died on the trap. It wasn't yet rotten. I got a whole bunch of leather out of the deal, which is just fine. Had myself a meal. I fed Croc. He was right grateful. Chatty fella. About that time my hops came up, and I had to pluck them out of the ground. I gave up on the smoke leaf, but the beer, I was going to keep working on that. So I sat down, I had a tea. Planned to do a bunch of cleaning, given that the place was such a pigsty, especially with all that butchering I'd done. I finished planting hops. I got it all brought in. And I sat down to research for a minute. I feel like I was making a little bit of progress for once. Then I tested my skills against myself in a good game of chess. It wasn't as challenging as you'd like, but it was all I had. Well, then I was off to bed. Another day in the bag. Croc seemed to be doing well. I was feeling alright. When I woke up, cleaning was definitely in order. After that, a meal, followed by a meal for Croc. Fortunately, I had plenty of food to spare, so I certainly didn't mind sharing. Then it was back to research. I was about halfway done, figuring out how to make some sterile tile. And I decided maybe I'd do something with all these hops, just so they weren't laying around, messing up the place. Hamlet kept running off with my wart, which wasn't ideal, but oh well. He's just trying to be helpful, so I wasn't going to yell at the boy. Once I made all the wart, I got it put right into the fermenting barrels, lest it go bad on me, which would be a crime. I was researching away, thinking about all the stuff I had laying around here. I wouldn't mind clearing out some space somehow. Jumped up, I got myself a meal. Decided I better get over there, see if I could teach that alpaca something. And I had some success. He wasn't going to wander off on me yet. I got done with that. Croc needed feeding. And again, he's a happy person. More chunks of spacecraft fell out of the sky. Seemed like a very common occurrence. Must have been a space battle going on or something up above. I don't know. I researched a bit, and then I was off to bed. At some point, my muscle parasites had gone away. I hadn't even noticed. While sleeping, another transport pod crashed down. An old woman named Marin. Just had some bruises, though. Didn't really have any real injuries. So I was pretty sure she's going to fare just fine on her own. Since I only had one bed, the crock was in it. Wasn't a lot I could do anyway. When I woke up, did some cleaning, once again had a meal, then I had to feed Croc. Like the chores never end around here. But didn't take long before I was back to researching. Occasionally taking a break, just to sit and enjoy my space, which had come together real nice. I was a big fan of what I'd built, and it was a great place to live. I was almost done with my research project as well. Finally make some progress on that. Once I figured it all out, decided I was going to get to work on my cooking area. Some sterile tile would certainly help keep me from getting sick, which I'd had more than my fair share of. So I made some kibble, started working on my floor. If I'd have known what a mess this place would end up, I might have put some sterile floor everywhere, but it was rather expensive to build. In terms of materials, not that I didn't have plenty of silver. I made decent progress on it, and then I was off to bed. Croc got up about that time, wandered on off, happy and healed, and I felt good about that. I'd finally got back to doing something good. My attitude about the pirates and the fires having cooled down a bit. Always nice to try and help the world out a bit. I finished up my floor and realized I was pretty low on pemmican. I didn't really have a lot of food sitting around relative to what I was used to, but I was doing alright. Decided I was going to focus on making pemmican for a while before I got back to research. And that's just what I did. There's all kinds of fancy food I could make at this point. But being that I'm a simple man, I like simple things. I stuck to the pemmican. I took a break, throw some horseshoes in the rain, which despite being soaking wet, I did rather enjoy. Critters had plenty of kibble, which was good. I got back to making myself some food. Trying to get some supplies lined up, make it a bit faster, which is what I did. And from then, I cruised pretty fast, making food, taking a break to have a meal, do a little cleaning once in a while, keep the place from being too disgusting. Probably stay cleaner if I'd make Hamlet stay outside, but I'd rather have him around and clean up a bit versus not having my little buddy. I cooked up a bunch more pemmican, and then I was off to bed once again. When I woke up, it was cleaning time, followed by meal time. A dog had got pregnant again. Old Lisa. I was making pemmican, contemplating whether Hamlet could be the father. Not that I'd ever really know, I guess. Perhaps if they looked half Labrador, it'd be a little more obvious. If they were full of husky. I'd had about enough. Making pemmican for a bit, and decided to make some coffee since I had a mob of coffee beans laying around. So I focused on that for a spell. And then I got everything cleaned up. Got some kibble, put where it belongs, so the dogs would get a hold of it. And decided to finish up using these coffee beans. Wasn't a lot left. I decided to do some flooring in my freezer to keep the dirt at bay. Just some simple stone to do the job. You know, spreading dirt like mad out of there. After that, some mining was in order. My steel reserves weren't what I'd like them to be. So I mined for a bit. Carried in what I could. At that point, a grizzly bear started hunting one of my puppies. I wasn't too far off. I thought she'd have a chance. I yelled at her to get inside, but that bear pounced like nobody's business. Down went Goldilocks. Now that bear's turning her into turds. Kinda breaks my heart, but we're about to have more puppies anyway. I did my best. I guess I could restrict them to inside home area. But for now, they seem to be happy free ranging. And if they have to take a little risk, I guess it is what it is. I finished up the floors and my freezer zone. Cleaned up my kitchen. Hopefully this will keep it cleaner than it had before. My plants are getting close to due. My corn is almost there. I thought about killing that bear as I was out mining again. A transport pod fell down, pretty much right next to me, as I was out mining. Some poor woman, clearly had a heart condition. Wasn't beat up too bad. So I did a little bit more mining since I was in the zone. And then I decided I better rescue her. While carrying her back, that solar flare ended. I got her in bed. I tended her up well, trying to be a gentleman. Not take any advantage of the poor woman. And once that was done, I was back to bed. When I woke up, cleaning was in order, followed by a meal for Erie. She graciously accepted, despite barely being able to close her eyes, keep her eyes open. I got back to researching. Microelectronics was on the docket to see if I could make some kind of communication system to contact other people. Should be most useful. So I researched a darn good chunk of that day till the eclipse ended. I got a request for some peace talks, but I don't have any interest in that. I kept right on researching. I felt like I was getting pretty smart from it. After a spell, I had a meal, and then I was off to bed. I forgot to feed Ari, so I jumped up and took care of that as well. I wouldn't mind giving her some of this coffee I'd made, but if she needed a rest, that might keep her awake too much. So I slept. Corn was coming up, healers looking good. Things were going well for a change. I was making great progress, having cut a lot of dumb stuff out. Once I sold some of these animals off, things would be better. And for now, a good night's rest was in order.